How's it going, everybody? Today's May the 29th. Today's the day I'm going to update anybody following along at home on this zoysia seeding project. Anyone who found this video first and you're interested in zoysia seeding, go look at my other videos. I'm gonna put them up here so that you'll understand what I'm talking about in this video. All right? Are you gone? Okay, I'll see you back in a minute. Bye. Y'all remember that time I said I'm no expert and I know just enough to get myself in trouble? Well, that rings true. And this backyard is living proof of it. So this backyard is not a failure by any stretch. However, it's not as good as I wanted it to turn out last summer. I made some mistakes and I'm gonna need to fix them. And that's what this whole video is gonna be about, mistakes and what I plan on doing to fix them. Let's take a look and see what we got. It's not too bad. Could be better. Got a lot of bare spots. Got a new patio. Look at all the stolons. Look, they're everywhere. This thing's spreading out. I'm really not worried about these little bare spots right here.
Oh! Look at them spreading. They spreading.
Oh, this over here don't look too great. I mean, all this is gonna need some help. See, it's pretty bare. But if you take a closer look, I mean, I got spreading going on here. But this whole area back here stays shaded for the first half of the day. See, I mean, this is like 10 o'clock in the morning. It's pretty shady back here. And actually, that shade was obvious when this was coming out of dormancy, because all that over there came out of dormancy before all the stuff over here in the shade. Here's another nasty bearish area, and it's bare for the same reason that that spot's bare. I'll get to that in a minute, but I got the spreading going on in here too. See all the stolons? But you know, overall, what's going on out here isn't too bad considering it's only grown for like 3.5 months. Now you might be asking why you said 3.5 months. You put this down. Yeah, I put it down in like, it was like July something. So we'll say middle of the month. But it had July, the rest of July to germinate and come up. Then I had August, September. At the end of September, the weather got real wacky, and I thought I was gonna have all the way into like Halloween to get things growing and keep them growing. But it got cool real early last year, like unseasonably cool. And the zoysia just shut down and stopped growing. So there was no spreading going on. There was no development going on. It hung out, stayed green till the first week of November, and then it was done. And it just turned back on, you know, around May 1st. The weather's been unseasonably cool this year. And it's been in a drought. Now I got the drought taken care of with old Monsoon 8000. I've been pouring the water to it. So that's really not an issue in this yard. And then too, when the weather turned off cool, I kind of started neglecting the back. When it stopped growing and started working on my fescue in the front, I was distracted. But either way, you see what I'm saying? Most of the time it's been on the ground, it's been dormant. Which segues me right into my first mistake I made. My first mistake, in my opinion, is I waited too late in the year to put that seed down. Now, I had things working against me. I was putting in an irrigation system, and that took a lot longer than I expected, you know, because of work and dad life and everything else. And I would have rather had lots of water than trying to do it earlier in the year without any water. So keep that in mind. Either way, I didn't have but those couple months to really get some establishment and growth out of it. So if you're going to try this yourself, the earlier you can get it down within reason, you know, when those soil temperatures get to where they're in that high 70s average, put it down. That's the best time to do it, and that'll give you more time throughout the summer to get something moving on this. I think I'd have had a better outcome had I done that. I did have a viewer comment on that first video saying he put his down later than mine, and he didn't have to do much reseeding next year. And I guess results may vary. I had some other things going against me too, which brings me to my second mistake. My second mistake was I slept on the bug control. I had an armyworm breakout, and I was not watching it as close as I should have. The armyworms got my neighbors too. He had crown zoysia sod, and they ate it to the dirt. Now that's if you have a sodded yard that's already established, or even a seeded yard, it'll probably bounce back quicker. But when you are trying to do this from seed, those plants are tiny and they can't take a lot of abuse from something like that. And in spots, they chewed it to the dirt, and then it turned off cold after I got all the bugs killed, and it didn't have time to come back. And that is where this big bare-ish spot comes from. Those dudes were up there chewing on the hill, and they come all out here and just tore all this up. And then that big spot over there, and there's one little spot over there by the fence. They were gnawing and having a big party. So like I say, don't sleep on your bug control. It doesn't matter if you do a granular bug control or a spray bug control. Not long after you get it down, I recommend putting it down preventively. I didn't do that, and I paid the price. Suggested juices, I know that works. Hold on, spin it around. Bifen XTS, good stuff. And this year I've been playing with this Sayonara 9.7. This is the same active ingredient as Demand CS, and it works great. The only thing that those two really don't hurt real bad is the fire ants. It'll knock them, or not fire ants, but it's whatever the bigger ants are. I have them in my yard. I guess I'm gonna have to get some Frippermeal or something. I'm gonna have to spread a little bit more Haiti hate on them to run them off. But that stuff will take care of armyworms, sod wedworms, any of that stuff after a couple apps. Armyworms are by far, I have found, are the hardest of the bug or the worms that chew on you stuff. They're the hardest to get rid of. Mistake number 3. I did not properly prep the yard as far as weeds go for seeding. So all of the pro people, like your golf courses, I know, and it's something that comes from farm. I'm somewhat familiar with it. And a lot of these university studies, this is what they did. There's something called methyl bromide, and it's a gas. And pretty much they just put like a tarp on the ground, from what I understand, and they put this gas under it, and it kills every seed and everything. It pretty much knocks out anything in the soil, so it makes it a growing medium with no interference. I know they used to use that in tobacco beds a long time ago. My granddad was a tobacco farmer. But that's something that a regular homeowner can't get. Golf course people can get it, and they can, unless it's been banned since. But all those university studies, they use that. So they were working with soil that had no weed seeds in it. You're not going to be able to do that. So what should you have done? What should you do, and what should I have done? I did 1 round of Roundup of glyphosate. Y'all saw that. If you watched the first video I did 1 round of glyphosate. But that didn't account for all the weed seeds that are in the ground. If you've got a yard like mine that was nothing but a sand pit with a bunch of weeds in it, it's full of weed seed. So what you need to do is do 1 round of glyphosate, Roundup, glyphosate. It's kind of the same thing. Do 1 round of that, flood it. You're gonna do pretend seeding. You're gonna do a wet run. Water it like you put seed down. Get all those little seeds excited, the little weed seeds. And when they pop back up, 7-10 days later, hit it with another round of glyphosate. And do that 2 or 3 times before you seed, and that way you're kind of exhausting your seed bank. And that way you don't have to fight as many weeds on top of your new zoysia seedlings as you normally would. I didn't do that, I paid the price. Inevitably, you're gonna have weeds pop up in your zoysia grow if you do seed. And right here, I got a couple of my favorite juices I found that did a good job of killing all the weeds out of zoysia seedlings. This is Drive Accelerate. It's quinclorac. You can spray this before, during, after. It doesn't matter where that seedling stage is at. Zoysia will deal with it. The university studies that did zoysia seeding said that was the case, and I confirmed it. This is good stuff, and this is something you probably should have on hand, because crabgrass is going to come up in your grow. It's almost inevitable. And this right here will smoke it. This is the Fertilizing Weed Free Zone. It's the same thing as Speed Zone Southern. It works great for a bunch of broadleaves, and it even kills Virginia buttonweed pretty good. But just make sure if you get this, you wait for 2 weeks after emergence. So you'll have most of your stuff up if you're watering it properly. Most of your zoysia seedlings will come up out of the ground 2 weeks after you put them down. 2 weeks after that, you can start spraying this. Until then, I would recommend pulling what you can. As far as this year goes, I went in January. At the last week of January, it's still cold outside, and I put down the 007 granular pre-emergent. It's dithiopyr. And I put it down that early because I wanted to try to catch some of the weeds that were going to pop up and try to exhaust that seed bank a little bit, but then still keep it open at the beginning of June to where I could seed. Because you put pre-emergent down and then you put seed down too early after you put pre-emergent down, you're not going to get any germination. The pre-emergent will actually kill your zoysia seedlings. And this year I've made one app of this about 2 weeks ago, and that's why you see when I was walking around there's a bunch of dying little broadleaf weeds in it. So if you've watched this far, I'm sure somebody's asking, well, what are you going to do to get this stuff to fill in and do better this year? Well, I'm glad you asked. So, you know, any company anybody's ever worked for, what's one of the things that's on the wall? They put those motivational posters, right? Well, my wife picked up a motivational poster for my zoysia. Check it out. So if that zoysia has any question about what it should be doing, it can look right up here on this building and it'll know exactly what it needs to be doing. So last year I was pretty aggressive with fertilizer, but I don't think I was as aggressive as I needed to be. So this year I'm going to be pretty aggressive with the fertilizer. This is what I picked up. It's fast release and it's cheap. And in my Wilmington people, you get that at Farmer Supply. It's like 18 bucks for 50-pound bags. Not bad. It's not got the best potassium source in it. It's got muriated potash. So just pour a lot of water on it. And I've been banging it this year. I've been throwing down 0.4 pounds of nitrogen. So that means 0.4 pounds of potassium as well every week. So I'm kind of what they call spoon feeding it. Because I don't want it to, it's fast release. I'm just kind of giving it a little long, bam, bam. But I'm constantly harassing it with fertilizer, encouraging it to grow. If you already have an established zoysia lawn, don't do that. Don't do that because you're going to cause yourself a lot of problems with thatch. But if it's spotty and like this is, then go slam it. Keep slamming it until it starts filling in. It's been responding well. I also have been and will continue to throughout the summer spray sea kelp. I got the old John Perry RGS Green County Fert. You don't have to get Green County Fert RGS to get sea kelp. You can date that company called Cytogrow. They sell that. Any kind of sea kelp product. Spray that when you're doing a weed app or something. It'll get this stuff moving and going, and I'm gonna do that for the rest of the summer. I'm also gonna have to do something to improve the soil a little bit. I still got really sandy soil, and I want to over time try to get it to hold on to it so I don't have to water as much, or so it won't dry out as much between waterings. I got real excited in one of those videos about that X-Soil product, but if anybody's been paying attention, something happened and Carbon Earth went out of business, so that product's not available anymore. And I hate that because that was a rad product. You don't have to get a wheelbarrow and a shovel to go spread compost. You just put it in a spreader and go. It's supposed to do a very similar thing, and it also has some other goodies in it. Anyway, I think I'm gonna have to break down and put some manure or something on this yard a little bit over time, like a small thin covering of probably some black cow or something. I'll probably do that midsummer just to try to help this soil out. In the next couple of weeks, I am gonna go get me some more zenith seed, and I'm going to seed the bare spots, and there will be a video about that. So if you're interested and you're not already subscribed, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. If you're worried about your phone worrying you about my videos, and you can hit the little bell. I'm gonna throw that stuff down in these bare areas. I'm probably not gonna seed where it's thicker because there's no need. Those little spots in that thick area will fill in. As far as this shady area goes back here, I'm gonna have to get my pole saw and cut those limbs out and do something about that because that's not gonna work back here. Even in the heat of the day, there's a line that runs from about right here to right there that stays shady, and you can see there's some zoysia over here, but it's super duper spotty. After I get those tree limbs cut, I'm going to seed back here, and I'm gonna try again. seed's cheap. I mean, well, it's not cheap if you're looking at like comparing to fescue seed, but if you're comparing to sod, it's super cheap. If that don't work, the next season I'm probably going to be finding some plugs of a more tolerant zoysia variety, shade tolerant that is, to put back here. You hear all the time that zoysia is shade tolerant, and it is if you're comparing it to something like Bermuda. It's very shade tolerant because, you know, Bermuda's shade tolerance is next to nothing unless it's one of them special hybrids. But Zenith is one of the least tolerant of shade of the zoysia cultivars. So I'm thinking that I might have to get a different cultivar to put back here. Well, we're gonna just try to trim this up first and see if I can get it going. Well, that's it, folks. That's the current state of my backyard. Any work I'm gonna be doing here shortly, I'll more than likely gonna make a video on it. So if you're not already a subscriber and you're interested in this project, go ahead and hit the button for me. Go check out some of my other stuff I do, my little mechanic stuff. It's been getting real hard for me to make videos lately because of new position at work, kids, all family events happening. So it's getting tough, but when I get the chance to do it, there'll be one out. Thanks for watching. Come back and see me.